Sagittarius, if tomorrow you're invited to a place where your heart feels strange, don't go just because it's polite. Don't say yes just because you're afraid of being misunderstood. Because maybe this is the last time the universe will let you choose. After that, you might not get another chance to turn back. Not every invitation is a welcome. Some doors open not to embrace your light, but to consume it. This video isn't here to frighten you. It's a sacred warning, delivered in perfect timing, for souls standing at a silent crossroads. And if you're hearing these words right now, this is not a coincidence. You, Sagittarius, have been chosen to hear the truth. Leave a comment right now. I will not surrender my soul to places where the light no longer lives. Because that sentence isn't just a declaration, it's a way to connect with the energy that's trying to free you right now. So then, why is it, right at the moment you're finally regaining your balance, that an invitation appears? Who or what is trying to pull Sagittarius back into a place you've fought so hard to leave? Let astrology answer you. There are moments in the year when the stars align quietly, but with purpose. And the moment you're living in right now is not just another cycle. It's a season when the universe whispers to the souls who are ready. And you, Sagittarius, you are one of them. The combination of the moon, symbol of deep subconscious, and Jupiter, planet of truth, expansion, and destiny, is shining directly upon your spirit. A doorway within you is opening. No fanfare, no warning, but you can feel it, clearly. It's not an outside event that's making you uneasy. It's the energy stirring inside you, as if everything that once felt stable has suddenly turned unclear. The people you once trusted now feel distant. The places you once called home no longer feel like they know your name. It's not that you've changed too fast. It's that the world within you has outgrown the shell around you. You, Sagittarius, are the one who refuses to be caged. You were born to seek freedom. But here's the paradox. Sometimes true freedom doesn't come from going farther, but from going deeper and feel. The energy moving around you now is profoundly spiritual. It's stirring memories, dreams, quiet messages, the kind only you can feel. Maybe you've been waking at 3 a.m. for no reason. Maybe a familiar song plays and you suddenly cry. Not because of nostalgia, but because a part of your soul has awakened. And in that moment, you become more open, more sensitive, more vulnerable. You see the truth, but you also become susceptible to those who use truth to control you. An invitation, a message, a comforting hug may not be what they seem. They might be the universe's way of testing your growth. Not because it wants you to distrust everything, but because there are things that, unless challenged, you'd never know were no longer meant for you. Let me share something deeply personal. I used to be someone who always moved forward. Like you, someone who hungered for meaning, always searching for something beyond the ordinary. But there came a time in my life when I began to feel drained. Not because I wasn't strong enough, but because I was holding on to things that no longer belonged to me. A Sagittarius can walk through storms, but no one tells you this. Sometimes the storm lives within your own faith. That's why today, I'm not here with polished words or pretty metaphors. I come to you with something deeper, a sacred warning. When you begin to feel uneasy in a place you once called home, that's not you changing. That's your soul refusing to return to what was never truly honest. Astrology never lies. It doesn't give you answers, but it does give you signals. And right now, the signal is clear. Do not walk into the place where your intuition is resisting. Because that could be the final chapter of a karmic cycle. And if you go back, you'll restart a pain you were meant to be free from by now. Let me ask you this. Have you ever stepped into a room and instantly known you shouldn't be there? Not because anyone said so, but because your soul pulled inward? If yes, share it in the comments. Because you're not alone, and your story could be the light for someone else who's still wandering in the dark. Right now, Sagittarius is standing at the edge of a profound soul transition. You are no longer the old version of yourself. You no longer fit into the role you once played. The relationships that once meant everything now leave you exhausted. But remember this, You are not wrong for changing. You are not cruel for walking away. You are not failing for choosing not to attend. That is wisdom. That is growth. That is real freedom, a freedom only those who have once sacrificed themselves can truly understand. Leave a comment. I am ready to walk away from where my soul grows silent. That sentence is how you confirm to the universe. You Sagittarius have returned. But this time, you carry a light that cannot be extinguished. And do you know what's miraculous? When you do not go to the place your energy is rejecting, another door begins to open, a door where you won't have to beg to be welcomed. That is what I'm going to share with you next. So, what place is quietly calling your name, trying to pull Sagittarius back? And who needs your presence to complete a script you never even agreed to? Walk with me as we enter the next truth. There are invitations that come dressed in softness. They don't threaten. They don't shout. They arrive quietly, like an old message. Let's meet sometime, or a familiar voice saying, it's been a while, let's make peace. And that's when you let your guard down. You tell yourself, if I stay calm, it'll be fine. If I just smile, this will pass. But some doors don't need you to knock. They only need you to stand close, and they'll begin pulling you into the dark. In astrology, when Neptune is in retrograde, the world becomes hazier. Truth and illusion start to blur. It's like walking into a room full of smoke, where gentle voices can mask hidden traps, and one tear can be the bait for a carefully constructed plan. Neptune isn't trying to deceive you. It's softening the boundary between love and manipulation, so you'll learn to listen to the divine voice within yourself. And if you don't listen to your intuition, you'll end up listening to guilt, to pity, to the softness of old attachments. You'll nod your head and whisper, maybe it's nothing. But right then, that door closes behind you, and you're already inside. Let me tell you a real story. A Sagittarius woman. Independent, strong. She once believed no one can manipulate me. But one day she accepted an invitation to a small family gathering where someone who had deeply hurt her would be present. She thought she could handle it. She told herself it's just a few hours. But what happened that day had nothing to do with words. It was in the looks, in the hand placed just a little too firmly, in the casual questions that left her heart breathless. Days later, she couldn't sleep. Nightmares returned, her confidence collapsed, and her body felt cut off from the light she once followed with clarity. No one said anything cruel, but something else happened. A part of her soul was pulled back into the place she had worked so hard to leave behind. You see, an invitation is sometimes just a chair already waiting for you. And all they need is for you to sit down on your own. No one will tie you up. But the moment you take your seat, the ropes will wrap around you on their own. I believe intuition is the voice of God when language is no longer enough to protect you. And if your heart feels unsettled as you hear these words, don't push that feeling away. Ask yourself, why do they need you there? Why, right at the moment you've begun to heal? Does the invitation come? That's not coincidence. It's choreography. A stage you didn't write for, but one in which you're cast as the perfect arrival. All they need is your presence, and the performance begins. You are no longer living in that old chapter, Sagittarius. You've already stepped out, even if only just a little, and the only thing holding you back now is the whisper, just one more time. But the truth is, one more time was exactly what broke you the last time. One more time was the reason you cried through long nights with no one ever knowing. And if you step into it again, you will have to begin your healing all over again. You don't need to prove that you've forgiven. You don't have to sit there just to make peace with those who never even admitted they caused the pain. You don't have to let your light be tested just so they can say, you're still easy to manipulate. Have you ever walked into a place you didn't belong and felt it in every cell of your body? If so, share it, because your story might stop someone from stepping through a door that only opens to shut behind them. So what is really waiting behind that invitation? Why you and not someone else? Why is everything crafted just sweetly enough to keep you from questioning, but deeply enough to keep you from leaving? Let me guide you forward, because in the next breath, I'll reveal who's standing behind the curtain and why you, a Sagittarius born of light, are the one they're most afraid to let go. Have you ever been with someone who made you laugh, but left you feeling hollow afterwards? Have you ever sat in a room full of familiar faces and felt like the strangest one in the crowd? Some people don't come to stand beside you. They come because they need your light. They come to warm themselves by it. And once they're warm enough, they leave, leaving you empty, drained, and wondering what just happened. In astrology, there are certain types of feminine energy that, when twisted into their shadow, no longer nurture. They become emotional games, gentle, silent, but soul-depleting. The shadow side of Pisces energy never directly harms, but always confuses. They say they love you, then vanish. They promise to listen, but drift off in the middle of your pain. You can't get angry at them, but you never feel safe because they make you doubt your intuition. They make you think, maybe I'm just too sensitive. The shadow side of Libra always appears to be on your side. They support, they echo what you want to hear. But behind the scenes, they're connected to the very people you left behind. They wear the mask of peace, so you'll never dare confront them. And yet something in you always feels off, like a smile crafted from kindness, but hollow inside. The shadow side of Capricorn doesn't speak much. They observe, they stay quiet, but when you're vulnerable, they use that silence to steer you. They don't advise, they don't comfort, but every action has a calculated edge. They make you feel like you need them. And one day, you wake up and realize you're no longer yourself. They smile at you, but their eyes are never warm. Maybe you felt it, a smile that leaves you cold, a hug that doesn't bring peace. You are a lamp, but they are the wind, and not every wind is here to soothe you. Some people come close, not to love, but to test whether you're still easy to hurt. They don't ask if you're okay. They don't want your truth. They watch to see, do you still flinch? Does your light still dim when they flip the switch? Pause for a moment and ask yourself, are you holding on to someone just because they always smile, even though their presence leaves you anxious? Is there someone you can't walk away from? Not out of love, but because you're afraid to be wrong for finally leaving? The truth is, your intuition spoke a long time ago. You just kept postponing it. You told yourself, just a little more time. But time doesn't change truth. It only makes you used to the wound. How many times have you wondered why you're always tired? Why, after certain gatherings, you need a whole week to recover? It's not because you're weak. It's because you've used your light to illuminate spaces you were never meant to walk into. So what if this time, you don't go? You don't respond to the invitation? You don't put yourself back into a room that once blurred the lines of your soul? What would happen? Would someone be disappointed? Would someone reveal their true face? Would something within you finally be released? Let me tell you. Because what happens when you don't show up is not just silence. It's the collapse of a system that's manipulated you for far too long. It's the unraveling of a performance you never wanted to be part of, but kept acting in out of habit. And more importantly, it's the arrival of something new, something that doesn't ask you to make yourself smaller. Are you ready to let go of smiles that come with conditions? If your heart whispers, enough, then maybe today is the real beginning. And if you choose not to go, if you quietly decide not to walk back into the old room, something strange will happen. A shift in the current, a disturbance in their script, a truth that can no longer hide will rise. So what happens when Sagittarius doesn't show up to the place where they were once the target? Who begins to lose control when you refuse to be their puppet one more time? Keep walking, because in that moment, The moment you refuse to appear in the place that once made you feel small, your inner light begins to assert its sacred power. And when you stop retreating from your destiny, the things that once quietly controlled you begin to crumble. Let me show you what truly happens when you choose to stay with yourself. Something strange begins to unfold, dear Sagittarius. When you have the courage to say no to the place that once wounded you, you are not simply declining an invitation. You are saying no to a current that's tried again and again to make you shrink just to keep others comfortable. And in that very moment, when you choose to stay with yourself, another door begins to open. A door you've never seen before. No sound, no spotlight, just a strange, subtle feeling. As if a quiet path is waiting behind your silence. We live in a world where saying no is often seen as ungrateful, where not attending feels like an insult, where silence is mistaken for coldness. But there is a deeper truth. You don't have to show up to places you've outgrown just to make others feel safe. You don't need to keep playing a story you no longer believe in. Not showing up doesn't mean you're unkind. It doesn't mean you're distant. It means you are choosing to protect the peace you worked so hard to reclaim. I know you've probably been scared to make that choice. To say no to someone you once loved, to miss a family gathering, to leave a message unanswered, even when it sounded so sweet. You've asked yourself, am I wrong for not going? You've been torn between maturity and guilt. But over time, you began to understand. You weren't wrong. You had simply matured enough to stop walking into things that keep you lost. Let me ask you, have you ever turned down an invitation and felt lighter afterward? Have you ever woken up the next morning and whispered, "Thank God, I didn't go"? If you have, tell that story. Share it in the comments, because someone out there right now is hesitating the way you once did. And your truth might be the rescue their soul has been praying for. Someone once told me, I always believed I had to prove my worth by being present, but I've realized my value isn't in showing up. It's in having the strength to stay away when that's what I truly need. You know something? There are places you don't belong. Not because you're not good enough, but because the light you carry is too much for the darkness still hiding there. And that's not your fault. That's the evidence you've come too far, healed too deeply, to keep fitting into rooms that were built for your former self. Close your eyes for a moment. Now imagine. You don't go back. You don't repeat the pattern. You don't get pulled into the comfort of discomfort again. And then one day, soon, you realize the old pain doesn't come back. You sleep better. You laugh more, with no reason at all. You begin rewriting your story with a gentleness you never thought possible. That is the reward for those brave enough to leave someone else's orbit. For the free spirits, the Sagittarians, who dare to skip the crowded table just to spend a quiet afternoon where they can breathe again. I don't need anyone to validate me to know that I matter. Write that down. Hang it in your heart. Repeat it anytime you feel yourself being pulled back to the places you once escaped. But the most important thing you must remember is not what others want from you. Not the sugar-coated invitations, not the expectations of the crowd. It's what the universe is holding for you. A gift that can only be delivered once you are no longer present in the place you were never meant to return to. And sometimes, the answer you've been searching for years, doesn't come from any meeting at all. It comes on a quiet afternoon at home when the light filters softly through the window and your heart whispers, I didn't betray myself today. You are ready to step into a new land, where Sagittarius no longer has to shrink just to fit the old cages. A place where you don't have to explain why you are strong. A place where you can gallop freely, true to the nature of your wild and free spirit you were born with. So, what happens when you choose stillness and the false things begin to fall away? Come with me, because the most sacred thing is just about to arrive. There is a truth that doesn't need to be spoken. It isn't found in explanations. It doesn't need you to defend or justify yourself. It only requires one simple act. You didn't go. Not because you didn't care, not because you were cold, but because you had matured enough to understand. Not every place needs your presence to be considered complete. You weren't invited because you no longer belong in a script your soul has already outgrown. You don't need to show up just to get it over with, because that cycle has ended, and you are no longer the same character. They might wait for you. They might prepare the room, decorate it, write out the lines, hoping that when you walk in, the story will go on as if nothing has changed. But you have changed. You no longer need that role. You are a Sagittarius, and with the arrow in your hand, you do not turn toward the place that once made you bleed. You do not aim your bow at those who denied your worth. You shoot forward, toward the place your soul quietly calls out, "This is where I begin again." They may say you're arrogant. They may think you're afraid. But the sacred truth you hold inside is this. You are now clear enough not to place your light in rooms that are no longer clean enough to receive it. You don't need to show up to prove your kindness. You don't need to say a blessing to be. Your absence is the act of healing itself. When someone who has been wounded chooses not to step back into the place where they were once hurt, the world within them begins to mend, and the world around them starts to adjust. When someone who is awake refuses to show up where they once suffered, a part of the world is made whole again. You've preserved the most precious thing, not just your pride, but the integrity of your inner light. The one that once shattered in silence. The one that was once exploited by hands that were soft but never honest. Today, that light returns to you. It needs no witness, no applause, no reward. I choose not to go, so I can return to myself. If you've ever felt this way, if you're standing between two choices, the old and the new, between a familiar chaos and a road you've never walked, but that makes your heart sigh with relief, leave that phrase in the comments below. Not just to affirm, but to send a signal. To those who are hesitating, who feel weak, who need a mirror to reflect their courage back to them. You no longer need to prove anything, Sagittarius. You've proven it by surviving, by moving forward even when no one stayed, by rising from the very place you once believed you couldn't. And that sacred truth is yours to keep. No one can take it from you because it was given by your growth, by your tears, by your quiet courage. And in the end, what you most need to hear now won't come from me, won't come from the stars. It will come from your own heart, from the deepest place inside you, the place you were once afraid to touch. But today, it's calling you home. Listen, because that message is the voice of your soul that's been waiting for your return for a very long time. Thank you for having the courage to stay until the very end. Not everyone is willing to face the truth, but you, a Sagittarius who carries the light, have listened with your whole heart. If this message awakens something in you, leave a comment. I choose not to go so I can return to myself. That affirmation is a quiet ritual, gentle but powerful enough to shift destiny. And if you know someone who is torn between awakening and their old patterns, share this video with them. It might be the very thing that saves their soul at the exact moment they need it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and spread this message to the hearts that are still suffering in silence. Because sometimes, a video is not just words. It is a door leading them back to themselves.